Orientation smelled like coffee and rain, and my communications seminar felt like a room full of strangers pretending to be main characters. I was halfway through doodling a camera in my notebook when she walked in. Ava Moreno, red scarf, storm eyes, the kind of smile that ruins GPAs. She sat 2 rows up, beside her boyfriend, Carter Blake from the business school, who wore a blazer like he'd been born in one. He kissed her forehead, then checked himself in his phone camera. I hated him on instinct and immediately felt basic. Professor Lane announced our semester anchor project, produce a short documentary about truth on campus. Teams of 2, sign-ups on the back wall, no couples. Carter groaned. The room laughed. Ava rolled her eyes in a way that made me want to write a thesis about it. I ended up paired with Ava because the universe has a sense of humor, and I was the only person not already in a group. Carter raised an eyebrow at me like I was a pop quiz. I raised mine back like I passed pop quizzes. We met in the library to brainstorm. She spun her pen, thinking out loud about rumors, reputation, and who gets believed. I tried not to stare and failed at least 3 times. Carter texted her every 6 minutes, phone face up on the desk like a lifeguard. He's protective, she said, catching me noticing. He's intense in general. I nodded, filing away the word intense like a label on a jar. We decided our doc would follow a week in the life of campus rumors and how they mutate. Irony said hi and made itself comfortable. I worked part-time at the media lab. She bartended at an off-campus place with a neon sign that never fully lit. We shared a Google Drive, shot lists and playlists that said too much between the lines. Our banter slid from cautious to dangerous. She teased me about the camera I babied. I teased her about the precise way she cut limes. Perfectionist, I said. Survivor, she corrected, and it wasn't a joke. I made a note to not fall for girls who correct me into better people. Then I ignored it. The first whisper I caught wasn't about our project, it was about Carter. In the student union, I saw him with a girl from marketing, tall, glossy, nails like small weapons. He leaned too close, she laughed too hard, his hand hovered on the small of her back like a habit. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Then I watched him take off his blazer, drape it over her shoulders, and kiss her cheek like it belonged to him. My mouth went dry in a way water couldn't fix. I wanted to blow up his phone, then blow up mine. Instead, I filmed an establishing shot of the union ceiling because I needed my hands to do anything else. That night, while I was logging footage, a video popped on my For You page of Carter at a bar I recognized, Ava's bar, arm around a girl who wasn't Ava, buying jello shots like a game show host. The caption said business school diplomacy, which made me want to uninstall the internet. I screenshotted it and then sat absolutely still, like stillness could undo evidence. Telling someone their partner's cheating is like defusing a bomb with chopsticks. I knew that, and I still almost called her. Instead, I asked for more footage time the next day and suggested we interview bartenders about rumor economics. She smiled, suspicious and warm. You sure you're not just trying to get free fries? I contain multitudes, I said. At the bar, she worked like choreography. 3 drinks made before anyone asked, 3 jokes delivered before anyone could be sad. Carter didn't show, but 2 of his friends did, and one of them asked Ava if she was free Friday. She wasn't. We closed down the place at 2. She tied her apron, rubbed her wrists, and said, "You ever feel like everyone wants a piece of you except the part you actually like?" I almost said yes, especially when you wear that scarf, but I went with, "Sometimes it feels like we're enrolled in everybody else's expectations." She snorted. "Okay, poet." I walked her home because the night was loud and the sidewalks were ambitious. At her door, she looked at me like a test and said, "Thanks, Noah." I failed at not replaying that all night. I ran into Carter at the gym the next morning. He was performing pull-ups and eye contact. "You're Noah, right?" he asked, like he was confirming a rumor. "The camera kid." "That's me," I said, wondering if he knew how many cameras existed. "Take care of Ava's grade," he added, wiping sweat with a towel that looked suspiciously monogrammed. "She gets overwhelmed." I smiled like a shark. "She handles more than you think." He laughed in a way that believed I'd complimented him by accident. I pretended to stretch so I wouldn't swing. Ava and I chased rumors for our doc, a stolen mascot costume, a professor who actually curved down, a ghost printer in the law library. We filmed confessions in shadow, let people talk themselves brave, and then fact-checked until our eyes begged for mercy. The irony gnawed louder every day. I started a folder called Not Our Film and poured everything Carter shaped into it. Timestamps, screenshots, a clip of his hand on Not Ava's waist that burned like a brand. I told myself I was collecting receipts in case the universe asked for them. The night the universe asked, it was raining like a cliché and my hoodie was losing the battle. I went to the bar to bring Ava a battery and a donut because her face the day before had looked like low power. Through the window, I saw Carter slide onto a stool like a villain in a movie who still gets the girl. Ava's eyes widened, but she smiled, professional and practiced. He said something. She shook her head. He reached for her hand. The girl from the union walked in like timing is a weapon. It happened fast. The girls smiled at Carter like they'd never practiced not doing it. Ava put a glass down too hard. The neon sign buzzed itself into a seizure. I stood outside the window like a witness with a secret identity. Carter looked between them like he'd ordered 2 desserts and they'd both arrived. Ava said something I couldn't hear, then something I could. Leave. He didn't. The girl touched his arm. Ava walked into the back without looking at him again. I opened the door because this was no longer a film. It was a fire drill. Behind the bar, in the tiny hallway that smelled like limes and apology, Ava pressed her palms to the wall and breathed like a metronome that lost count. I held up the battery, dumb prop, and said, I saw. She looked at me, eyes glassy but controlled. How long have you seen? She asked, voice even in a way that made me want to put the world on mute. Long enough to hate my timing, I said. She nodded once, like she'd expected the answer to be worse. Don't tell me more, she said. Tell me less. We didn't shoot that night. I walked her home in a silence that tried to be kind. At her stoop, she said, if you say you deserve better, I'm kicking you. I wasn't going to say that, I lied. I was going to ask what you want me to do. She blinked like she hadn't planned for the option. Be my partner, she said. On the dock. I already am, then be my partner who doesn't make me the story. I nodded. We can film printers. She almost smiled. It was the bravest almost I've ever seen. Carter texted her paragraphs the next day. Then flowers. Then a playlist called Us But Stronger, which is a felony in 5 states. Ava left the flowers on our classroom table for anyone to steal and turned her phone upside down. I scouted interviews with the student gossip account admin who spoke like a benevolent villain. We traced a rumor from birth to burial in 48 hours. Ava cut the footage like she was angry at time. I watched her build a story that wasn't about her and felt the gravity shift. The universe hates neat arcs, so Trevor, the same Trevor from marketing, DM'd me a video of Carter in a basement party, kissing someone in a jersey. Figured you'd want this if you're documenting truth, he wrote. I wanted to throw my phone into a sink. Instead, I sent it to the folder and then paced, counting my own breath like spare change. Ava arrived at the edit bay with coffee and determination. We're closing on a cut by Friday, she said. We're submitting to the student festival. Copy, I said, and left the detonator alone. Professor Lane announced midterm screenings with outside judges and an award that came with a grant. Carter sat in the back row, sunglasses on like an apology. Ava's jaws stayed in one piece. I respected it like architecture. After class, Carter cornered me with the confidence of a man who thinks everyone's rooting for him. You told her? He asked. She told me, I said. She's smart. He smiled like it was a compliment. Keep your camera on rumors, Noah. Leave people alone. People make rumors, I said, even when they think they're brands. We shot a scene with the marching band practicing in the rain because drama loves brass. Ava's scarf stuck to her neck. I tried not to notice and failed responsibly. She asked the drum major about how whispers travel faster than Wi-Fi. He gave us a quote that deserved an Oscar. After, we huddled under the stadium overhang, cold, wet, a little alive. You okay? I asked. Ask me when I stop smelling like rain, she said, then sighed. I'm mad at me for not being shocked. That's not on you, I said, and meant it like a promise. Carter launched a PR tour. He posted a Notes app essay about miscommunication and personal growth, and we all make mistakes. Comments split into the usual teams, stans, cynics, people who read. He sent me a DM that said, "Don't make this weird," which is something only weird men send. I didn't respond. Instead, I took Ava to interview the campus rumor fact-checkers, who were 3 girls with color-coded spreadsheets and the power of God. They said, "We don't print screenshots unless we can verify source and timing." I learned a lot about integrity from people in hoodies. The night before our locked cut, Ava and I did an all-nighter that tasted like pretzels and ambition. At 3 a.m., the timeline froze and we stared at it like it owed us rent. "What if truth is just who edits faster?" she asked, eyes smudged with tired. "Then we're the truth," I said. She looked at me too long. I looked back, exactly long enough, and then reached for the space bar, because restraint is a muscle you have to exercise. We exported at sunrise while the campus glowed like hope had a schedule. Midterm screenings filled the lecture hall with people who wanted to be moved in under 15 minutes. Our doc played third. Watching it with Ava beside me felt like watching us learn to say harder things. When the lights came up, the judges asked about ethics. Ava answered about consent and context like it was a language she'd always spoken. Carter slipped out halfway through the Q&A like a man allergic to accountability. We won audience choice. It felt like the room said, "We see you," and meant it plural. After, outside under string lights, somebody forgot to take down. Ava hugged me, quick and devastating. "We did something," she said. "We did," I said. She pulled back, eyes glossy and fierce. "No matter what he does next, I did this without him." I nodded, throat having opinions. Carter texted her a selfie from a different party with the caption, "Miss you." She blocked him in one gesture that looked like the opposite of breaking. We ate bad cupcakes and let people tell us we were brave until it started to feel true. Brave is expensive. The rumor mill retaliated, snapping at the hand that fed it. An anonymous account posted that Ava had moved on with the film guy before she moved on, a sentence engineered to sting. Someone DM'd me a photo of us sharing headphones like it was incriminating. Carter liked the post, then unliked it, the digital version of slamming a door and pretending you didn't. Ava's hands shook for exactly 12 seconds, then steadied. "We keep receipts," she said. I opened the folder and we filed the world. Professor Lane pulled us aside. "Do you want to press anything with student conduct?" she asked. "Screenshots, witnesses, I'll help." Ava considered, jaw working. "Not yet," she said. "I don't want to be the story. I want to finish mine." Lane nodded like respect was heavy and she could lift it. In the hallway, Ava laughed without humor. Crazy how the truth keeps asking for rent. "I'll Venmo," I said. She snorted for real, and the day got 3 shades lighter. We kept shooting for the festival cut. Our last interview was with a shy freshman who'd been torched by a dorm rumor and survived by making memes about himself. He said, "I thought I would die of embarrassment. Then I realized embarrassment doesn't kill you if you feed it jokes." Ava smiled like she might actually sleep that night. We walked across the quad, leaves doing their dance. "I'm going to delete our folder one day," she said. "The not our film one." "I'll help," I said, and meant, "I'll be here when you want." Carter tried one more stunt. He showed up at our class, asked to share his side, and launched into a speech about long-term relationships weathering storms. He quoted a podcast. He said the optics were bad, which is a way to apologize without practicing remorse. Ava waited for him to finish, then asked, "Who was the girl in the jersey?" He blinked. "A friend." "What's her name?" Silence stretched, thin and cruel. He left with dignity, bleeding out his shoes. The class didn't clap, which is almost better than booing. That night, Ava texted, "I don't want to be home." We ended up on the journalism building roof with a blanket and 2 thermoses. She handed me one. "Tequila," she said. I sipped. "Hot chocolate," I corrected. "Gotcha," she said, and finally laughed like she didn't owe anyone anything. The skyline looked like a promise someone could actually keep. "You saved me," she said, then shook her head. "No, you believed me before I asked you to." I swallowed the dumb, truthing stuck in my throat and said, "I like your scarf." It was not what I meant and exactly what I could give. We didn't kiss. We didn't need to. We told jokes about our future regrets and circled the word maybe like it was holy. When it got cold, she tucked her hands into my sleeves and I pretended that was purely practical. "I'm not ready," she said, and the way she said it made it something beautiful instead of a door. "I can wait," I said because I could. She leaned her head on my shoulder like a checkpoint. Somewhere below us, the campus remembered how to sleep. The student festival landed like finals dressed in glitter. We were slotted last, the program's version of a wink. Carter didn't come, but his friends did, loud in whispers. Our film played better than I remembered, like edits sharpened themselves in the night. When credits rolled, the audience stood, and I forgot how to be a person for a second. Ava squeezed my hand, quick, secret. Judges gave us Best Short and a small grant that turned into big applause. For 1 minute, the rumor mill shut up and the truth took the mic. After the awards, a local journalist asked to profile us. Ava hesitated. If the piece is about the film, yes, she said. If it's about my breakup, no. The journalist nodded, surprising me by being decent. We did the interview in the edit bay, our second home, and talked about ethics, consent, and why some stories aren't yours to tell, even when you're in them. When it ran, the headline was, "Two students document how rumors work without becoming one." I printed it out like a middle schooler and taped it above my desk. Carter tried the nuclear option. He posted a screenshot of his notes app, apology to Ava and Noah, and attached a cropped photo of us on the roof, faces turned away, hands almost touching. He wrote, "I hope you two are happy." The comments demolished him in real time. Someone pointed out the timestamp was 2 weeks after the basement party. Someone else identified the Jersey girl as, in fact, 2 different girls at 2 different parties. I closed the app because schadenfreude is a sugar high that drops you hard. Ava came over with a bag of oranges and a face that had decided to stop caring about his theatre. "Want to practice radical indifference?" she asked, tossing me an orange. "I'm better at lukewarm apathy," I said. We peeled fruit, watched dumb videos, and didn't mention his name like it was lint we'd already brushed off. At midnight, she stood to leave, then didn't. "I think I'm ready to not think about him," she said. "I think I'm ready to think about whether you're as good a kisser as you are an editor." I forgot how to swallow. We kissed like a question we both already knew the answer to. It wasn't fireworks, it was relief, warm and precise. She made a small sound that ruined me for all future sounds. When we pulled back, she looked at me like a grade she was proud of. "Okay," she said. "Okay," I echoed, and the word felt like a city we could live in. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear like a trope that earned its paycheck. We watched the campus through my window and let the quiet be generous. Dating in a small ecosystem is a sport. People stared, whispered, recalibrated narratives. We didn't post. We showed up. We finished our Docs Festival run, did 2 panels where Ava answered better than any professor, and started tutoring freshmen who wanted to make things without hurting anything. Carter vanished into the background noise where mediocre villains go when the plot stops needing them. Sometimes I still saw him, smaller, learning. I hoped so. Ava hoped for nothing in his direction and everything in hers. Finals arrived in a mean mood. We studied in the media lab, living on pretzels and stubbornness. When anxiety made her fingers shake, I set up the tripod and let her talk to the lens about nothing until her voice remembered itself. When my brain stuttered, she dragged me outside and made me race her around the quad in the cold. We built a religion from small rituals and showed up to worship daily. The rumor account posted a meme about us being healthy, which felt like both a compliment and a curse we were glad to earn. On the last day of classes, Professor Lane handed back grades and said, "I hope you learned how to carry stories that aren't your own." Ava nodded and I felt something unclench. Outside, under a sky that couldn't decide if it wanted to snow, Ava took my hand and said, "Thank you for not saving me." I frowned. She smiled. I didn't need saving. I needed a witness who wouldn't turn me into content. I kissed her forehead in a move that belonged to us now, not to the blazer boys of the world. Winter break threatened to scatter us, but we were stubborn. We planned movie nights, left each other voice memos that sounded like inside jokes, and made a shared list called Small Joys, where we added things like "the bar's neon finally fixed a letter" and "your hoodie after the dryer." Carter texted her a final formal apology through a mutual friend. She said thank you and nothing else. Closure is not a door. It's the hallway you decide to stop walking down. We screened the doc one last time for a freshman seminar. A kid in the front row asked, "How do you know when a rumor is worth ignoring?" Ava said, when listening to it would make you worse at listening to yourself. The room went quiet in the good way. After, we walked to the bar where she used to work and sat under the fully lit sign like a trophy we didn't need but liked having. She poured herself a soda and me a root beer, and we toasted to the mundane, because the mundane is where happy ends live. On a Sunday that smelled like new notebooks, we climbed the journalism roof again, blanket, thermoses, muscle memory. We looked at the skyline like a thing that could hear us. I thought the worst part would be losing him, she said. It was almost worse losing the version of myself who put up with him. I nodded. I thought the worst part would be wanting to tell you and waiting. It was almost worse not trusting that you'd choose you. She smiled, slow and bright. I'm choosing me, bonus level, you. Spring promised itself out loud. We packed up the blanket and left the roof and walked past the student union where rumors are born and die on a loop. People waved. We waved back. Someone shouted, "Congrats on the film," and Ava shouted, "Thanks," like a person who knows she did the work. I laced my fingers through hers. She squeezed like a period at the end of a sentence that finally knew how to stop. Happy end, not the kind that rolls credits, the kind that keeps the lights on while you clean up and laugh and plan breakfast.